Rahubat Haru, this is Raw again. Greetings, family. This is Raw again. Back at it again with another edition of Is Astrology Evil? It is not. But let's break it down some more on why it's not. Last time we finished the breakdown section of Let's Break It Down. But now let's go into the science. We got 3 more parts, and then we're going to start getting into the actual holy writs, which are the texts, the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah. So we're on the science part, okay? Now, how is astrology a science? And then how does astrology use astronomy, right? Let's go over the science part, which is pattern recognition. Well, what is pattern recognition, right? What is pattern recognition? Ooh. Pattern recognition can be described as the systemic identification and categorization of patterns within data or experiences. This definition encompasses a broad spectrum of inputs and outputs. It includes visual, auditory, and other sensory data that organisms as well as machines analyze to derive meaning or predictions from specific configurations. In simpler terms, it involves recognizing similarities. Trends, or deviations based on prior experiences or learned information. For instance, humans recognize faces or voices rapidly due to this innate capability. Machines, like algorithms, also utilize pattern recognition to process vast amounts of data. Astrology is pattern recognition. We recognize the similarities. We recognize the trends. We recognize the deviation based on prior experiences or learned information. You can see people who have Mars and Aries are way more aggressive than normal. Right? Now, it depends on what house it's in, because the house it's in tells us where it's at. Or saying that people who have a sun in Virgo might be more critical and factual based and maybe have anxiety because they're so critical about themselves, or things of that nature. We see these patterns. Pattern recognition. And you can't tell me that pattern recognition is not a science, because we have so many applications. Pattern recognition plays a crucial role in various scientific and practical domains. In a world increasingly dominated by data, the ability to identify patterns becomes significant. Organizations, researchers, and educators leverage pattern recognition to extract meaningful insights from overwhelming amounts of information. The applications range from understanding biological processes to advancing technologies and improving data analysis. Let's just look at some of the applications of pattern recognition. You see it in biology. In biology, pattern recognition is fundamental for analyzing complex living systems. Researchers use this mechanism to decipher genetic sequences and recognize relationships among organisms. For instance, tools that allow scientists to detect patterns in DNA sequences assist in identifying genetic disorders. Pattern recognition helps with identifying genetic disorders. Pattern recognition is important. By comparing patterns in genetic data, biologists can trace evolutionary lineages and even predict traits in future generations. That's insane. Moreover, understanding patterns in ecological data enhances biodiversity conservation efforts. Predictive models based on these patterns contribute to more informed decision making in wildlife management. Pattern recognition, very important. How does this work in chemistry? Within the realm of chemistry, pattern recognition aids in the identification of molecular structures and reaction pathways. Chemists utilize techniques such as spectroscopy that which relies on recognizing patterns in light absorption. Spectroscopy. I know I'm saying that wrong. I don't know why that word is so hard for me to say right now. It's crazy. To determine the compound structure. By applying machine learning algorithms, researchers can predict the outcomes of chemical reactions based on historical data. For example, recognizing patterns in reaction conditions can lead to new synthesis methods for pharmaceutical compounds. They use pattern recognition for pharmaceutical compounds. I mean, come on, bro. What are we talking about here? This capability accelerates the development of new drugs and materials, ultimately benefiting society. Pattern recognition is all it is. This is what astrology is. We recognize patterns within the data that is afforded to us through consistent and diligent research over time. I mean, come on, bro. And I saw a video saying, like, someone was saying that pattern recognition isn't even really a thing. Like, well, yes, it is. Pattern recognition is like a very important part of science. I'm showing you right now. The applications of this is for earth sciences. The applications of pattern recognition in earth sciences encompass everything from climate modeling to geological surveys. By analyzing satellite images and sensor data, scientists can detect changes in land use, monitor deforestation, or assess the impact of climate change. I mean, come on now. They recognize patterns in rock formations to understand tectonic movements by predicting earthquakes. The pattern recognition technology becomes key to it in navigating uncertainties proposed by Earth's dynamic systems. I mean, come on, bro. That's supposed to say data analysis, not days analysis, but data analysis. In data analysis, pattern recognition is essential for transforming raw data into actionable insights. Businesses utilize it for customer segmentation, market analysis, and fraud detection. By recognizing spending patterns, companies can tailor marketing strategies to specific customer needs. I mean, they're using it in finance, that you can see, like this is the thing. Pattern recognition is important. So I don't want to hear nothing about people saying pattern recognition ain't important. Look at all these other things that use pattern recognition. All of these disciplines that I'm about to name utilize pattern recognition in highly important areas. Okay? Disease categorization, natural language processing, network intrusion detection, image sensing and recognition, optical character recognition, data mining and warehousing patterns, or knowledge directory, acting as eyes in computer vision, prediction of survival rates for patients with specific disease, seismic analysis, healthcare, radar signal recognition and analysis, oil and gas, speech recognition, texture discrimination, fingerprint identification, agriculture, chromosome shape discrimination, financial services, transportation, and more, all use pattern recognition. I don't want to hear nothing about anybody saying that because astrology uses pattern recognition, that is not a science. Everything I just said, nobody on this app or anybody on the planet thinks that none of those are sciences and math. That's all that is. They all use pattern recognition. Astrology uses pattern recognition. The same type of way that these people use it, we just use it with planets and constellations and the angles and vocabulary words that we find with each planet. It's not that damn hard, bro. Like, and that ain't that crazy. That's really not that crazy. That's really not that crazy. Okay? That's pattern recognition. Now, astronomy. How does astrology use astronomy? Many ways. Astrology and astronomy are like cousins. in a way. But for some reason, astronomers want to say that astrology is not a thing. Like astrology doesn't exist. Why do astronomers keep wanting to say that astrology is not a thing when astrology uses y'all's tools to do the thing? Y'all know about these tools. Why? There must be a reason. It must be purposeful. Because why the hell would y'all do that? We use astronomy to help us find these celestial positions. Astrology relies on positions of celestial bodies, like planets and stars, at specific times, particularly at an individual's birth, or other times, right? This is where astronomy data provides the necessary data. Like astronomy gives us the celestial positions, right? The zodiac. The zodiac, consisting of 12 signs of 30 degrees each, is based on the imaginary circle that is the ecliptic, the sun's apparent path across the sky. Astrologers use the ecliptic to create the horoscopes, which are charts that interpret celestial influences on human behavior. We use the ecliptic. Astronomers know about the ecliptic. Planetary movements. Astrologers track the movements of planets, which influence various aspects of life. Like, it's really frustrating when astronomers really sit here and say that astrology is not a science when we use the same techniques y'all use. Not every single technique, because we don't really study necessarily the chemistry compounds of the different planets and stars and other galaxies and such like that, right? Y'all do different things, but we use certain things in y'all, like the ecliptic. Knowing where the stars and planets are at a specific point in time. Like, it's really frustrating because like so many astronomers disregard astrology as a pseudoscience when it's not a pseudoscience. It's pattern recognition, it's math and science. Like I've been breaking it down for the past several videos. How is astrology math? Well, we use geometry. We know what geometry is, right? Geometry, a circle, a square, a triangle, okay? A trapezoid, okay? The aspects of astrology are the angles, the geometry, between two planets as seen from Earth. Only certain angles are considered important, although close approximation to these angles, what astrologers refer to as being an orb, still count very strongly. There are numerous other aspects, but the natal chart is sufficiently busy that few astrologers go looking for more things to consider, right? There are major aspects, right? And we're going to go over these major aspects. The major aspects that we have in astrology are the conjunction, the sextile, the square, the trine, the inconjunct, and the opposition. Now you have other ones, and then you have like the hammer of Thor, and there's other aspects here. But the main ones people consistently use are conjunction, sextile, square, trine, inconjunct, and opposition. The angles are 0 degrees, 30 degrees, 60 degrees. No, sextile is 60 degrees. Why does this just say 30 degrees? My bad. A sextile is 60 degrees. Sextile, yes, because a semi-sextile is 30 degrees. My fault. A conjunction is 0 degrees, a sextile is 60 degrees, a square is 90 degrees, a trine is 120 degrees, an inconjunct or quincunx is 150 degrees, an opposition is 180 degrees. Let's go over the conjunction. Now, the inconjunct and the quincunx are not necessarily both 150 degrees, if I'm not mistaken. I think one of them is like 210 or something like that. Can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, a conjunction. Basically, the planets are very close to one another. The effect of a conjunction can be either beneficial or challenging, depending entirely on the planets involved. A conjunction looks like this. Oh, let's use this. These are the two planets, right? Let's say that, my head is the Earth. Pause. So This would be a conjunction. You see how they're like in line with each other? If my head is the earth, that's a conjunction. If we look like this, it looks like they're on top of each other. I mean, they're not really on top of each other, but like from this angle, right? They look like they're on top of each other. That's a conjunction. Okay? A sextile. Sextiles are actively beneficial in the vast majority of situations. It's lucky, but you're gonna have to buy the lottery ticket yourself in order to get the luck. Okay? Sextiles are considered positive aspects, right? Sextiles come from the sister element. So like water and air are sextiles. So Cancer and Virgo is a sextile. Virgo and Scorpio is a sextile. Scorpio and Capricorn is a sextile. Okay? Those are sextiles. Capricorn to Cancer will be an opposition. Okay? But we're not there yet. Squares. Squares almost always challenging. Okay? If forces operating. What the fuck? Forces operating at cross purposes. What the hell does that mean? I don't know what I was trying to write there. The point is that squares are challenging, right? They are difficult, right? Paranoia, repression, exaggeration. I don't know what the fuck I was writing there. I was writing, but what a square is a 90-degree angle. So like a Capricorn and Aries or Capricorn and Libra are squares, right? It makes a 90-degree angle. Okay, those are challenging. It causes force. It causes friction within the two or multiple planets that are in sync with them. Okay, so say Mars is squaring Venus. Mars and Venus are not going to be getting along at that moment in time. That doesn't mean that something beneficial won't come out of it, but it does mean that it's going to be challenging. Okay? Now, a trine. Trines are passively beneficial. They're pleasant. You might not even notice, right? It's good luck, it's peaceful, it's easy. Okay? It's passively beneficial. So trines, you don't really have to work at to get the benefit of a trine. A trine is the same element. Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces are trining each other. They're creating a 120-degree angle, which gives you an equilateral triangle, right? When you have the same element, so like Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini, they're all the same element. Or Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus, or Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Those trines, whenever you have planets that are in the same element, it's easy for you. And then if you have all three of the same elements, that's called a grand trine. And what that really means is that all those elements, that element itself is easier for you to move through. So, and then those houses that they're in, those houses they flow very well together. So, let's say you have all air energy, right? Well, not all air energy, but you have 3 air placements, one in Gemini, one in Libra, and one in Aquarius, and they're making a 120-degree angle between all of them. That means in air things, talking, writing, thinking, having a knowledge base, being political, things of that nature, traveling, short distance though, right? Your neighborhood, your relationships, that type of stuff is easier for you, and you don't have to try. One of the downfalls of that though is that you don't have to try. Not trying puts it so that you don't have to put effort in, which means that it's it's like a part of your life that you don't really try to better because you never had to, because it's always been so easy for you. You never really put in that work in that area of your life, right? So it's positive, but it doesn't mean that it's always positive, if that makes sense. Even though it is, but not really. Now, an inconjunct is 150 degrees. It's difficult to define. It's illusionary. It's mystical. Niggling. What the fuck was I writing? Niggling. I don't know if you see it on the screen, but that thing says niggling. What is a niggle? I'm sorry. I don't know. Forgive me. I don't know what I was writing. I don't know what that is. And inconjunct is 150 degree angle. And I think a quincunx is 110. I think 110 is the right one. That's 180, 30 degrees. Yeah, 210. Anyway, those are signs that don't get along. The elements don't get along, and neither does the polarity. So, example, you have Aries and Virgo. Aries and Virgo, they are inconjunct to each other. Aries is masculine, Virgo is feminine. Aries is fire, Virgo is earth. You know, Aries is go get it, go get it, go get it. Virgo is routine, work hard, you know, think before you move. Those two don't get along, right? They don't get along. There's like a blind spot there, right? If you have an inconjunct in your chart, there's a blind spot within your chart to where certain energies, whichever ones they are for you, just don't work right, right? It doesn't mean that they can't be worked with, but it does mean that there's usually something there that causes issues that you might have a hard time figuring out why, right? Well, it's because those energies don't get along, right? Fire don't do well with earth, right? A go-getter, like when I say go-getter, I mean like move without thinking, doesn't work well with someone who thinks before they move. You know, it doesn't work. And there's multiple of these, right? So that's inconjunct slash quincunx. Then you have opposition. The opposition is challenging but more capable of being dealt with. It's a matter of balancing, appreciating the opposite extreme, right? I put good for growth. It can be good for growth, right? So, like example, an opposition is Aries and Libra. Aries is the go-getter, but it's about me. Aries is always about me. Very selfish, very self-centered, very 0 to what? 1 year old or something like that? 0 to a few months, I can't remember. But it's very me. Libra is relationships. It's you. Right? Aries is me. Libra is you. Okay? They're opposites. But they're important to know about each other because you have to be able to balance being selfish with being relational with people. And the truth of the matter is there's really only 6 signs, because being selfish and being relational is the same energy, just on different sides of the spectrum. Let me say that again. There's really 6 signs, because being selfish and being relational is the same energy, just on opposite sides of the spectrum. Right? That goes with all the signs. There's really only 6 signs. Like, it's another example. Pisces is the dream world. Virgo is physical reality. It's the same energy, just opposite sides of the spectrum. Right? You have Cancer, which is emotional. and Capricorn, which has no emotions. It's the same energy, just opposite side of the spectrum, right? You have Gemini, which is learning, and then you have Sagittarius, which is teachers. It's the same energy, just opposite sides of the spectrum. There's really only 6 signs. There's not 12. I mean, there's 12 in regards to the ecliptic and the each 30 degrees each. But energetically, there's really only 6 signs in terms of it's the same energy, just opposite sides of the spectrum. So a lot of times astrologers get this confused. Say someone has an Aries sun, and then you give them all the energy of Aries, like selfish, go-getter, all about me, bold, courageous, things of that nature. And then the person is like, well, that's not really me. I'm more relational. I'm more like, I like to be around people. I like to politic and whatnot. Well, the reason that is because there's both, like Aries is that selfish energy, but Libra is still, it's the same energy as the opposite side of the spectrum. So somebody can be manifesting their Aries energy in a Libra way because it's the same energy, just opposite side of the spectrum, right? There's a name for it, but reflection. I think it's reflection, wherever a planet is, especially the sun, it shines a light on the opposite side, and that opposite side is what actually shows through. Right now, I think it's called reflection. I don't remember off the top of my head, but that just shows it's really only 6 signs, just opposite sides of the spectrum. Okay, now those are all the major aspects. The major aspects, not all the aspects, the major ones. Now, another part of math is the ephemeris. What is an ephemeris? Right? An ephemeris is what is used to be able to pull up your natal chart, right? It is the technology that allows us to see where the planets are in real time. At least the Swiss ephemeris, the technology one. Now you can write down this stuff by hand. That's a lot. We got computers for that now. So it gathers required data. It identifies the celestial object, collects the necessary parameters such as orbital period, eccentricity, and transit properties. Then you have to choose a calculation method. Orbital elements method and transit midpoint method. This is math we're talking about. Telling me astrology ain't math. This is math. Utilize the object's orbital parameters to compute its position. Utilize the object's orbital parameters to compute its position. That's math, bro. Transit midpoint is use known transit midpoints and durations to predict future events. This is math we're talking about here. Now, we also use it to perform calculations. Like, for the transit midpoint method, you iterate over the period, considering uncertainties in the period and transit duration. For the orbital element method, you calculate the object's position based on its orbital parameters. Like, this is math, bro. Like, people want to say that astrology is not math. What is that? Just on geometry alone is math. But what about the other thing I was just talking about? Astrology is math and the science. It's also a language, but we're not there yet. We're going to have to go over the language in a different one. Language is long. This language section is long. His language section is long, I'm not going to lie. So we're going to go over that next. With that being said, I appreciate all you guys for joining. But before we go, let us pray. Abba Father, Eli and El, in your Son's name, Yeshua, who we call Jesus the Christ, I pray. I want to say thank you for allowing me to be able to give this information to the public, to be able to be the vessel, to be able, or who is showing this to the public. You gave this idea to me, this energy to me, to be able to relay to people. Maybe it's never been done, maybe it has been done, or maybe I'm just reaching the people who need to hear it. Either way, I appreciate it, and I pray that everybody who watches this gets something from it, and the veil is being lifted from their eyes to see that astrology is really a math and a science and a language. There's a lot more that we have to go over, and I'm just grateful that we have all this, that we're able to do this. I just want to say thank you. Just want to say thank you. I'm so grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Abba Father, Elinel. In your Son's holy name, Yeshua, who we know as Jesus the Christ, I pray. Amen. Amen.